Actually, we're even going more. So when we were on 425, which was talking about the Askia Daoud, or Daouda, as he's referred to here. And so from 425, I'm not going to spend much time on this, from 425 all the way to line 804. You get a lot of genealogies, villages. Not much happens, however, in terms of narrative. Okay. It's on 804 where you get beginning with reference to Sumala Kasa is the ancestor would be effectively the grandson of Mamar Kase, the son of Askia Daoud. Now note again, we talked about this theme of fratricide, and part of the reason for this, and we'll see the same phenomenon with El Hajj Omar Tall, is that the Askias took many, many wives and and concubines, and they had many, many children. And so the fratricidal conflict that broke out had to do with the fact that there were just so many brothers, but they were not brothers of the same mother for the most part. They were brothers of different mothers. Now we saw this in the film La Jeunesse, that the conflict between the sons of Leah and the sons of Rachel, and that's a long-standing sort of problem within Islamic culture is the tensions between brothers of different mothers. And so one always makes the distinction where same mother, same father, or just same father. It makes a difference. Okay, and so there was these rivalries that occur. Now, when we get to the story of Sumala Kasa, we're going to see it's very interesting, similar situation in terms of sibling rivalry. So on line 18, Sumala Kasa becomes the chief of Gaul. He's the one who rules the country, so he comes and assumes the throne. Remember we said Sumala Kasa is a kind of a composite figure of the various Askias who ruled at this time, although the main Askia the figure who was the Askia when the empire collapsed was the Askia Isaac, who was killed by the by the Moroccans. Okay, now note here, this is some important stuff on 826. Okay, so when he becomes the king, he says on 826, he also has a wife whom he had married earlier. This woman is of captive origin, but he did not free her. She is a captive of the slave family of Zaguma, whom he married, but he did not free her. He married her just like that since he was the chief. Okay? So here's a problem that emerges right away. That Sumala Kasa has two wives. One is a captive, which is to say she is a slave. And not only is she a slave, she's a slave of his noble wife, the wife who is the nobility, and that's Zaguma. And so he has the slave wife, and he has Zaguma, who is the noble wife. So not only is she a slave, she's a person of, remember we talked about the caste system. We have nobility, Nyamakala. So the captive wife is of this lower caste, whereas Zaguma is this more sort of pure-blooded princess. Okay, and so, but Sumala Kasa doesn't care. All right, he has his favorite wife, and it's the slave, and he has the son from her named, whom on line 843 or 842 says the first wife gave birth to a single son, whom they call Amar Zumbani. So Amar Zumbani is kind of the villain, really, in effect, of the narrative. He's the son of the slave, and that his father favors. And the father really shouldn't, according to the Rio version of it, the father should not be showing so much favoritism to this ignoble son, but the father doesn't care. Now, as noted in the, I think it's John William Johnson notes in the Epic of Songhay, the hero of a lot of these griot epics is someone who sort of breaks taboos, it violates taboos, and then releases chaos into the world. But in doing so, shows himself to be a hero by controlling the chaos that he unleashes by violating the taboo. The loser is the one who breaks the taboo, generates chaos, but can't control the chaos that he has released into the world. So you can think of, Sumalakasa as somebody who's deliberately violated a taboo. He's angered the nobles, angered everybody, not just by favoring this captive wife, but by favoring the son of this captive wife, and he doesn't care what anybody thinks. And so this is an affront to the nobility. It's also an affront to the griots, who are more conservative. Even though they're of that lower caste, they're constantly going to want to reaffirm the more conservative order, the status quo. And so Sumalakasa has created chaos because he has violated the traditional caste structure, caste system of the Songhay. Okay, so now we learn on 864, or I start even earlier on 833, that Zaguma has a brother who did not inherit the throne. He remained in his father's compound in a state of poverty. Sumalakasa took the chieftaincy. So this is 833 through 835. So here you have this brother who is a nobleman who maybe should have inherited but didn't inherit. And here he's living in a very impoverished state. But he is the brother of this noble wife, Zaguma, of Sumalakasa, who's effectively kind of his second wife. And you already have kind of a problem there. And it's very similar. In some ways, it replicates the story of Hagar and Sarah, because Hagar is the slave who gives birth to Ishmael, who then Sarah worries about will get the birthright over her son Isaac. So you have a very similar kind of problem, is that he has this slave wife who has a son, and who's going to inherit the baraka after the father goes. So this is all sort of in the background, because we're going to see that Zaguma has twin sons, and they're both also members of the nobility, but he's not favoring those twin sons. He's favoring Amar Zumbani, who is of questionable blood integrity, all right, because he's the son of a slave as opposed to being a pure member of the nobility. Sumalakasa has not even told Amar Zumbani this whole thing, and so he doesn't even know that he's the son of a slave, and he doesn't even know that Sumalakasa never even married his mother, and so he's kind of oblivious to this, and this is part of the problem. Okay, so as we learn on page, on line 846, Zaguma gives birth to twins, to two boys. They are these noble boys. And then on 847, the city of Gao knew a beautiful, rich, single woman. And everybody wants to marry this beautiful, rich, single woman. So the griots sing her praises, and there are these contests to see who can marry this woman. And both Amar Zumbani and the brother of Zaguma, who's the poor impoverished nobleman, want to marry this beautiful woman. And so on line 864, the brother of Zaguma, who is the son of the former chief, he too enters the competition. The new prince and the old prince go to see the young lady until they compete with each other. Okay, so they're having this contest. Now we know who Zaguma is rooting for. She's rooting for her own brother. She doesn't like Amar Zumbani at all. All right, and so but Amar Zumbani goes out, and so since he's the son of Sumalakasa, he can he has a lot of wealth at his disposal. So at 868, we learn that he gives to the Fulani griots 10 horses. And then the Fulani griots proclaim to everyone. Now note again that the griots will sing the praises to whoever gives them the most. So they're like whatever way the wind's blowing, you give me money, I'm going to sing your praises. And so the Fulani slaves, or griots, I should say, proclaim to everyone what a wonderful, great person Amar Zumbani is. He gives them 10 horses. Now this bothers, it says on 875, or even 874, it bothered these people, number 875. It bothered the princes and the rich people. So now the nobility is kind of sitting back and watching this. They're not at all happy with what's going on, because it's just a full effrontery to the traditional caste system and to the way things have been run for centuries. And so they're just